Hi, welcome to Steaming It Up Anywhere. I'm Kristen Brennison from NIU STEAM, and with me is Danielle Gray from Franklin STEAM Academy. Hello, Danielle.
Hi, I'm
So
so happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you could join us. I know I love having conversations with you, so I'm excited to hear a counselor's perspective. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Franklin STEAM Academy.
At Franklin STEAM Academy, I am one of the school counselors there, and this is going to be my 10th year there in the role of a school counselor.
So Franklin Academy has switched over to STEAM and this whole idea of STEAM learning. So through the years that you've seen this shift, how do you think STEAM learning can help engage all learners, all of our students?
Well, what's interesting to me is that I have been able to see, well, I was lucky enough to be there before we were a STEAM Academy, and now that we are transitioning into a STEAM Academy. So it's given me an interesting perspective to see how things have changed and evolved. We were so excited to become a STEAM Academy.
Oh, I think we lost you
Even
for a
though
minute.
I think we had no idea, got the grant. And should I pause?
Yep, let's pause. We lost you for a minute there. Um, okay, go ahead.
Sorry. I think the biggest change so far has been the access to the professional development for the teachers. I think that has been the biggest thing, and the most impactful thing up to this point has been the opportunity for teachers to partner with different stakeholders, NIU, the University of Illinois, any other different stakeholders we've been able to partner with and provide professional development to all of our staff, really not just teachers. I have been also attending the STEAM trainings as a counselor, and that has been really interesting for me because I started off with the mindset that I really wasn't sure how much I was going to be able to contribute as a counselor because our focus is so different than a classroom teacher. And our training is so different from a classroom teacher. But with the structure of the trainings, the openness of the trainings, the topics of the trainings, so being a part of these trainings has really helped me understand really what it means to be a STEAM Academy and what it means to have teachers that are trained to deliver their curriculum and instruction differently. And that has empowered me to be able to speak to families, parents, community members when they ask me as a counselor, because a lot of times I'm the first face of the school, or I represent Franklin when I'm out in the community and they have a lot of questions like, what does it mean if I choose to be at Franklin? If I choose to put my student at Franklin, what does it mean that you're a STEAM Academy? Well, I've been able to answer those questions because I've gone to those trainings.
So, how have you seen this kind of shift into the STEAM learning? How's it impacted those students who might not thrive in a more traditional classroom environment?
There is a lot of difference. One, I think it levels the playing field in terms of thinking about males and females in the classroom and how they're treated, can be treated or present differently in the classroom together in terms of math and science. And I think it also creates this heterogeneous learning style for kids where not only am I just grouping with kids that are like me and think like me and have the same skill sets as me, but I'm grouped with kids that are so different from me. They may have a different intellectual ability. They may be more artsy, strong in art instead of math, or, so it's like you group together kids and then you give them a problem or you give them a project. And I think it's a totally different way of approaching learning that they're also not used to. So they have to, what I've had to learn too is that kids have to learn how to be steamy, right? And to think steamy. And so we're teaching them, not only are we teaching ourselves to think steamy, because I certainly have changed a lot as a result of the STEAM training, but we're teaching our kids how to think differently and how to work differently with each other. And I think that just in and of itself engages them in their learning more. I also think that STEAM learning makes the topics more applicable to them and more real life. And I know that students, particularly at Franklin, we have a very diverse set of students. And I think a lot of them value real life application. How can I use this? How can I think about this? How will this make me a better citizen in my community? And I think STEAM learning.
So when we think about STEAM in general, and this idea of STEAM learning, can you hear me now? Did I stop? Did I freeze? Am I back?
You're back.
Okay.
I'm going to close out some of my windows to make sure that that's not interfering with our connection. Okay.
Okay.
Your mouth was moving and I couldn't hear anything.
So as we think about STEAM learning and what that actually is, we talk a lot about growth mindset, collaboration, working together, problem solving. So how does that help build kind of our social emotional learning? And do we see students building social emotional skills through STEAM activities?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that because I came up with some letters for
Yay!
social emotional. And I think it will help me kind of explain. I think when you are teaching differently, right? When you are a STEAM academy, you're asking your teachers to teach differently. You are increasing the social skills that happen and are built and reinforced amongst the kids because they're working together differently, they're thinking differently, they're problem solving differently. And I think it requires a certain level of communication skills and listening skills. And so that is certainly bolstered by the STEAM learning. I also don't want to leave out technology. I think the T still is technology when it comes to social emotional learning because there's so many things now that can be addressed with technology. I can't tell you how many times I've encouraged my kids to put apps on their phone to help with mindfulness, to help with anxiety, to help with, hey, there's an app to organize yourself more, to have better time management. There's an app to deal with, calming yourself. And so I think you can't talk about social and emotional anymore without talking about technology. I also think E is for empathy. I think it increases your empathy whenever you work with other people and you see things from a different perspective. If you have I think STEAM learning creates a little bit of struggle. And sometimes you learn in that struggle, in that grit that you build when you're learning and you're trying to have that growth mindset and you're trying to get along with the person next to you who just wants to get the project done really fast.
Mm-hmm.
That struggle, there's learning in that. There's social and emotional learning in that struggle. The A, I said alternate alternative perspectives is what I said, because I have learned even within our STEAM training, teachers are being asked to work together with each other. And I have learned alternative perspectives, being a counselor. What does it feel like to be a teacher? And what are the demands on teachers every day? What are the demands on students as learners? And so that is a big social emotional skill, is being able to take the perspective of someone else. And then lastly, I said mindfulness, because you're not doing STEAM if you're not engaging your brain and thinking. It is a big thinking thing. So being mindful, I think, is being present in the moment and being mindful of where you're at and where the other people are at. And I think it's a huge skill that can definitely be highlighted in STEAM.
I think you just rewrote STEAM. That should be what our acronyms are for. That is fantastic.
I want to do something fun with STEAM social emotional learning.
There's so many connections. So what advice would you give to either other counselors who, how can they reach out to teachers and be part of the STEAM learning? Or what advice would you give to those teachers to get their counselors involved to kind of look at STEAM from a whole child perspective?
Well, I think it starts with, if I were to give advice to other counselors, I would say it starts with you. It starts with you having an open mind that just because our role and purpose is different in a lot of ways from teaching in the classroom and that skill set, um, you can still contribute a lot as the school counselor in your building. You can still be a part of your building being a STEAM academy. I had to get over that hurdle. I kept selling myself short at first. Like, I don't know what I'm not going to be. I don't write curriculum. I don't, what is an IDU? I don't even know what that, um, or maybe I felt like teachers wouldn't value my input because I'm not a teacher. And wow, was I really shocked at how much I was able to contribute, how much my perspective was respected. Um, I think that being a part of a STEAM Academy has exposed me to things as a counselor. For example, I'm on a committee now for human design and the new concept for human design, which is totally putting people in the front of designing and what are their needs, what are their wants, what are their goals for that space or that area. And I love it. I feel such an important part of that team as a counselor. And so I would say it starts with you. And then I would say, go to the trainings because it really helps because you don't have that foundation, the same training foundation as a teacher. It really helps to go to the STEAM trainings and learn the vocabulary that your teachers are going to be using when they're building these IDU units and they're using the new tools and the new spaces. For example, our maker space and our new music production studio. We need to know about those spaces and how teachers and students are using those, because honestly, we could also use those spaces to help our students. And sometimes that's how they relate better. When we got our music production studio, there were kids that just lit up. They were so excited because music is such a big way for them to communicate and to express themselves and to learn. And so it was just like a door opened for them when we were able to have access to that different space. So I would say go to the trainings and have an open mind, and you can contribute.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for taking time. I really appreciate it. And it's always fun to talk with you and get that counselor perspective on everything. So thank you.